The evening was Sunday. This music is intense. Welcome back to IIRL. The weirdest intro I've ever done. Hope you're all really well. Good evening, Kate. First time I've ever said that. Hope you're well. Demon, the Kari, Tucker, all in the chat. Hey, how are you doing? You might think, oh, yet another different voice on a Sunday. Yes, me, Sun God. Can't kick me out for too long. I was away on Tuesday. I'll be back from next week onwards, which will be Miami. Hope you're excited for that. Next week, back to the normal format. This week, of course, the final of 3 races with the sprint format. As you can see on your screen there in the bottom left, short qualifying session, 18 minutes. If you want your qualifying fix, well, don't go anywhere for the next 20 minutes or so. And we got an 11-lap race, sprint race. Top 8 positions scoring points. 8 points for first place, down to 1 point for 8th place. And that will determine the grid for the full feature race. 32 laps here at Imola. Hope you're really well. Hope you've had a really good week. The first sprint week of the new IIRL season, and we've had some issues with the sprint format on the game. Some fastest laps going a bit haywire and going a bit mental, so potentially have to manage that and see if those kind of bugs are fixed for the next sprint race, which I can tell you is happening in round 11. So 6 weeks on Tuesday is the next sprint race. Hopefully everything is fixed by then. The evening was Sunday. Tim droned on. Yes, you're right. Thought I'd change it up from my normal corny intro. 15 here tonight. More the merrier, as they say. Used to having a full grids in the early part of Season 3, but unfortunately 82 bunch, they don't want to hang out with you. Boo to all the 82 drivers. But we've got 15 here tonight. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of action. Had some great races on this week. Fixed. Of course. They call me the pun god for many reasons. So, short quali, 18 minutes of qualifying. It's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and hopefully there's no copyright for my speech tonight. CRYPIK first out of the pits, and followed by a good 5 or 6 drivers behind him. Joseph Hales, Hyper, Karis, both AlphaTauris out of the pits in the early opening minutes. Mason also out on track too, and a 6th member of the grid coming out of the pits now. That will be, I believe, Spark. It is indeed. A few other drivers filtering out too. I'm sure you'll know this track either from Legends, for instance, Senna's fortunate passing here in 1994, or just because you love the track, or just because it's one of those tracks that was added last game, so you drove the heck out of it. Whichever one it is, we will be going through a short track tour, just in case you have been living under a rock for a while and haven't seen this track before. In case you haven't been witnessing the streams the last couple of weeks, we've got some new commands in. Put !! commands in the chat and it will come up with a list of all the commands you can use to your heart's content. Some of them informational and factual, some of them more quirky and entertaining. DRS all the way down to turns 1 and 2, very tricky. Do not take that inside curve, especially those yellow sausage mark curves. They will absolutely ruin your car. Out through turn 3, get a good exit towards turn 4 and 5. This very difficult chicane. You will see some people going side by side through there too. Into turn 6. Again, it's quite easy to get on the throttle actually out of this corner, so make sure you maximise your throttle exit on the end of that corner. Very tricky turn 7 here. Easy to get invalidated into the Aqua Minerale section. Beautiful section, very easy to lock up if you have no assist. Very easy to get some traction loss on the exits through this very tricky chicane for invalidations. We'll probably see some of those tonight. CRYPIK bombing down towards the final couple of corners. First one, most people taking third, shift up to fourth, or sometimes down to third for the final corner. Get a good exit, carry as much speed as you can through those corners, because it will set you up for a brilliant lap time. And CRYPIK does a 1 minute 16.6, and I have no idea what that means because I've not seen qualifying this week. Evening to you, Chelsea, hope you're well. Dry all the way again in AT2, so no wet races in AT2 this season so far. I'm sure the drivers are going to be happy about that one. Times are flying in, only 2 drivers still in the pits. Novatek reserving for the first time this season. Good to have Novatek. Dr. Edward also first appearance of this season for him. Really happy to see Dr. Edward out on track. Not going to go into the reasons why he hasn't been racing, but it's really good to see Dr. Edward back today. And obviously, Edward, hope you're really well, mate. Jumbo also in the pits still, but I'm sure we will see them 2 out of the pits very shortly. In fact, Novatek is on his way out of the pits right now as we speak. Plenty of times already. Interesting fight there initially between Spark Kissy and Akari. Only 15 milliseconds separating 3rd, 4th and 5th right now. Currently CRYPIK's onboard lap time is the one to beat on a 16.6, taking provisional pole as things stand. Hyper was 2nd, but now 3rd as Joseph Hales has gone fastest. I've not had the pleasure of commentating on Joseph Hales yet, so it'll be interesting to see how Joseph does here tonight with what is undoubtedly so much pressure on his shoulders being witnessed by the Sun God. And Dr. Edward, first competitive lap of this season for him. It's a 17.3, and that's not too bad, you know. IIRL Hyper, Speak of the Beast. Hello, mate, how you doing? Zog, reserving tonight. 17.6, not too bad. Head of Mason right now. Chelsea with a slow opening lap, as with Tucker, 21 point something, now improves to an 18.0. First Sunday race I've watched all season, so don't know some of the drivers at all. Yep, some of the newer, fresher faces of the league do tend to enter into AT2. We have got some new faces in AT1 as well that you might not know, Demon, but certainly a lot of the new faces will be in this tier. Not for any specific reason, just it's where they fit in best. And turns 1 and 2, a very, very good spot for overtaking. Obviously with the DRS, down into turn 1 is an optimum overtaking point. However, it is also a high incident point on the track as well. So something to look out for. On Tuesday, sorry, we had an incident between Smaller Smiley and Ghost Tomino, where unfortunately for Ghost, he had a bit of a spin under some contact. But it is almost, I would say, impossible to go side by side through turns 1 and 2 effectively. So if you need that move done before turn 1, get it done as quickly as you can into turn 1 is my advice. Novatek and Jumbo obviously out of the pits on laps, so in a few short moments all 15 drivers will have a time on the board. start to see how things are going to shape up for the next 10 or so minutes. Isn't turn 1 the kink before the shift? It might be, but I don't really count that. You know what I mean. Some corners like that, they count as corners, but some don't. So for instance, in Australia with the new layout, that long sweeping section down towards the fast chicane in the middle sector is technically not 2 corners, it's just 1 corner. It doesn't make any logical sense. Jumbo then, going jumbo fast right now, and currently sitting pretty on the top of the timing screens in Imola. 16.2, quarter of a second faster than Joseph Hales, who is just under 2/10 ahead of CRYPIK, who is just over 2/10 ahead of Hyper, who is just over 2/10 ahead of Spark. So plenty of little gaps for drivers to try and slot their way into, and Jumbo, he's running low on ERS anyway, so this lap probably wouldn't have been quicker, but there is a lot of congestion there in Sector 2, and if Jumbo wasn't blocked, probably someone else was. Tucker, early end to the session for him, and he'll be starting 15th on the grid for the sprint race, which is happening in just over 15 minutes time, so make sure you're here for that. Chelsea, not a quick lap from Chelsea, not pushing. As you can see, 16 seconds down. LOLSERPRO currently 10th fastest on a 17.4. This one is invalidated. I wonder if he's got this and next lap invalidated. He'll have to go all the way around the track and probably back into the pits to get a new set of tyres. Of course, you can use as many set of tyres in quali as you want. For the sprint race, it's going to be just a simple soft to medium or medium to soft, just depends what the drivers want to use come the start of the race. Karma across the line, it's a 2/10 improvement almost, and jumps up no places, stays in 8th place. Yeah, why would you bother doing more laps in quali? It's, you know... Did you not get the memo, Demon? We all retire after 1 lap. So Karius has backed off this lap time. One person who is flying right now, though, is Hissy through turns 1 and 2, or maybe technically turns 2 and 3. I usually have a track map up with me, but can't be bothered today. CRYPIK goes fastest by 1/10 of a second almost, jumping up from P3 to P1. Half a second improvement on his lap times. That's pretty good for that from CRYPIK. And fellow red car driver Hissy, hoping to put himself up into the top few places, and half a second up in Sector 2. That is pretty good indeed, but easy to lose time in this last sector. You might think these last 2 corners are easy, but actually they're quite tricky. You want to maximise your throttle exit, but you also need to take enough curb and enough speed through those final corners to make sure you don't lose any time. And fortunately for Hissy, he did lose a little bit of time on his personal best in Sector 3, but it is good enough for P4 right now. To Mercedes, currently outside of the top 10, 12th and 13th for Mason and Novitek respectively. Only 5 milliseconds separating them in this early part of qualifying. Still 6 minutes left, and Mason is on an improved lap through Sector 1. Just a little bit wide there into Acqua Minerale. May cost him half a tenth or a tenth of a second. Through the split he is just over a tenth down, so not one of Mason's finest middle sectors. He'll be hoping for a better run in the next 5 minutes or so. Might need 2 warm-ups, potentially. And Mason in validation. Validation City, population Mason 171. And he did go quicker on his lap, which is encouraging for him. But that one won't count. Novitek is on a lap, but has backed off in the early portions of it, and so is Dr. Edwards. So a little bit of a breather for us. For all the franticness, I'm sure will resume in the next 4 minutes or so. Aboard with Chelsea then, hoping for warm-up, and this is not a flying lap. 2 out laps for Chelsea. This then is a nice little time for us to have a look at the standings. Watch Zog's lap as he goes rounds. Fractions down in Sector 1. Still plenty to play for. Three races done. And Golden Egg leads the championship, and it's super close in 82. 3 different race winners. Aki on the first race in Bahrain. Jay Beatty won in Saudi. Jumbo won last week in Australia. Difference between the top 7 drivers is 7 points. So really anyone can leave tonight with the lead of the championship. Hissy's probably, I'd say, the favourite to lead the championship after tonight, not only because he's second, but Golden Egg is not here to defend his championship lead as things stand. But of course it's a 22 race season, we're only in race 4. Plenty to play for throughout the course of the season. Oh, Zog goes for a bit of a spin, bit of a nudge on the barrier there, but no harm done. And Zog may have time to come into the pits, just waiting for that yellow flag to disappear from my TV screen. Upcoming Karma then, coming to the end of a flying lap, and what's it going to be? Currently on a 17.1, it's a 4 and a bit tenth improvement, and jumps himself up ahead of Hissy into 5th. That's a pretty good lap there from Karma. What about Hyper? He has started a lap but has backed off since, has improved his time since we last spoke about Hyper. And Jumbo just running wide there in turns 1 and 2. Compromised turns there for Jumbo, so has backed off, but because he's backed off nice and early, can get a full battery for the next lap that he is on. LOLSERPRO is running out of ERS very quickly. Could be back-to-back flying laps here for him. Have to wait and see if that loss of power will stop him from improving. 2 minutes left of the session. Tucker starting 15th on the grid. We know that already. LOLSERPRO is into the pits, and very unlikely that we will see LOLSERPRO out and making it round for another flying lap. So LOLSERPRO retiring in the pits in 10th as things stand. Akari's only fractions behind Spark, and just another 10th of a second. He might get past Dr. Edward too. Can't seem to always turn right, blaming the hardware. What hardware have you got, Chelsea? And those bottom 3 have left it a little bit too late to come out of the pits. In fact, Novitek and Chelsea are out on the track right now, so they may have just got away with it. They need to have pretty quick out laps though, if they want to get round for another flying lap. It's going to be mighty close though. Jumbo has retired in P2. Karma has finished his session in P5 as things stand. Mason is back out on track, but I'm not sure Mason will get round in time And obviously you can't cut corners to try and get another lap in. That is against the rules. You're not allowed to do that. Everyone else is on a flying lap as we speak. It's going to be very close for Novatec and Chelsea. You can just see ahead of Akari's on track in the track map. They are going to be very close if they'll make it. Aston Martin coming to the line and slowing down, so that is no improvement there for Zog, who tucks into the pits in 11th place. And Mason, Novatec, Chelsea have not got round for another lap, so they'll be staying in 12th, 13th and 14th respectively. Akari's now 9th place at the moment and stays in 9th place for the start of the race. Dr. Edward, meanwhile, is on a flying lap. Hissy drops into the pits. P7 is the best he can manage, and only 7 millitenths away from Spark, who has put in a nice little handy 16.6 there. We have an Alfa Romeo sideways. That is CRYPIK at the final corner, so CRYPIK can't improve. Dr. Edward improves to 5th place right now, so that's a pretty good lap there. Hypo's invalidated, and Joseph Hales improves by just under a 10th, but it's not enough to get him onto the front row of the grid. And I believe, as Spark is on an invalid lap time too, that is going to be it. CRYPIK has got pole. CRYPIK no poles last season in his debut season, but he's got one here tonight. Very impressive stuff from CRYPIK, even though he's blocked, and Spark has a 5-place grid penalty. I'm not sure what that's about, but unfortunately for Spark that will drop him down to 12th, and Hissy, Akari, LOLSERPRO, Zog and Mason will jump up a place. Well, CRYPIK, in the end it didn't really matter, mate. You got pole position, and it doesn't really matter if you get it by 86 milliseconds or 86 seconds, so congratulations on the pole position. Starting the sprint race from the front. You don't see too many moves down into turn 1 on this track unless you get a really good or really bad start. So if you can get a decent start off the line, could be a nice little start for you there. 86 seconds would be impressive on a 76-second lap. Yes, indeed. Is there a gap between sprint? I wasn't there for the other 2 races, so unfortunately, I actually don't know. It's the first sprint race of the season. Check in Discord. Check in Discord. No heroics into Tamburello, please. Yep. Bring back Jeff. That's what I'm saying. Bring back Jeff. No, there isn't a break. Thank you, Russ, for confirmation. No break. Your setups are all chosen, so it's just pick your fuel loads, basically, and pick your tyre strategy. Are you going soft medium or medium soft? Oh, Ross. Ross seems to be the tyre whisperer off the start of this new game. Always seems to get the good starts. So we'll have to wait and see. No stop for a sprint. Oh, is that new? Oh yeah, because we used to do 25%. Now it's a sprint race. You don't have to pit. Silly me.
The formation lap gets underway ahead of today's sprint.
And broadcast formation lap. Not the most ideal situation, talking over David Croft, but I'm sure that's what everyone wants. SunGod, hashtag SunGod replace Crofty. Let's get it trending on Twitter, guys. Reason being, in case you're not aware, there's a bit of a bug at the moment where on immersive formation lap only the host gets warm tyres. Everyone else starts on 70% tyres, which are as colder as a night in the Antarctic. So broadcast formation lap actually provides heat in everyone's tyres, also allows those lazy drivers to get warm tyres without doing anything, so that's pretty good. So yes, Chelsea, just in case you weren't aware, this is broadcast formation lap. This is the only way that we can see where you will get warm tyres for the start. So, although it looks weird, it's all for the best. And here we go. Imola sprint race. Race number 3 this week is underway, and it looks like Jumbo's got a pretty good start on CRYPIK. And down into turn 1, these are side by side. Plenty of jockeying for position. Some going 2, maybe even 3 wide in the background there, as we see side by side CRYPIK and Jumbo. Someone going off in the background. I think that might be Tucker at the back of the field, just running wide at turn 1. And into turn 4, we have Joseph Hales overtaking Jumbo for second place. Everyone else slotting in nicely into a bit of a groove. Novatek has had an issue as well at the exit of turn 3, and he has dropped all the way to the back of the field. So CRYPIK didn't get, I don't think, as good a start as Jumbo, but Jumbo wasn't quite close enough to get that move done into turn 1. And as a result, Joseph Hales has capitalised on that and jumped up into second. But since then, CRYPIK has been rolling away with it, as they say. 1.3 seconds out in front. We have, looks like Chelsea going a little bit deeply into that chicane, and Mason and Zog, Hyper and Edward swapping places into the final sector. I don't know any of the turn numbers. This is bad, and once again we have a bit of a fastest lap glitch. 22nd fastest lap there for CRYPIK. Don't worry, these fastest lap points aren't going to count this week, just so it's all fair for everyone. Unfortunately, glitches are glitches, and unfortunately we can't do anything about that in our league. And here comes Jumbo and Hyper fighting now. Hyper, nice move. Will Jumbo go for a move back down into Tozer? No, not quite. And Hyper has converted that overtake very nicely indeed. Joseph Hales has stabilised that gap out front to 1.3. And Hyper now, proud owner of 3rd place. In case you're not too sure how sprint races work, this season of F1 has a new points format. First place will get 8 points, second place 7, all the way down to 8th place, who gets a single point. Currently LOLSERPRO and Akari's fighting it out over final points position, and wherever they finish in this race is where they're going to be starting the next race. CRYPIK extending his lead to Joseph Hales by another 0.4 this lap, up to 1.7 now. Hyper is starting to close that gap on Joseph, or Hales, I don't know what to call him yet. And Hyper is bringing some very quick drivers along with him for the ride. Jumbo, Edward, Karma, Hissy, LOLSERPRO, Akari, Spark, all within DRS range of the car ahead. So Hyper might here be in a very tricky spot, trying to defend from 4 or 5 drivers behind who all have the DRS and the rear wing open. Thank you for the follow, Novatek, appreciate that, man. And Novatek struggling out on track there, yellow flag in sector 1. Fortunately for Novatek, there is a full race after this, so still plenty of points up for grabs in this race, in tonight. And Hyper here has dropped a bit behind Joseph Hales now, so here come the cavalry, as they say. Jumbo, going down the inside of Hyper. Hyper, good awareness there to know that Jumbo was there. Thankfully there was no Bottas and Russell-like crash as we saw a couple of years ago. Jumbo retaking 3rd place. CRYPIK leads Joseph by 1.5 seconds. Gap mainly stabilised now, but obviously Joseph Hales not in the DRS. But Crucially, he's not under pressure from Jumbo and company behind. Tucker and Mason swapping places for P12. Zog has had a bit of a bad lap as well. He's now 34 seconds behind Mason in 14th place. A very short race, blinking it's over. And it looks like here Jumbo is trying to get the jump on Hyper, trying to get Hyper out of his DRS so that Jumbo can mount a challenge for second place. Sprint is over. Well, still plenty to play for tonight. Don't worry about this. Just a sprint race. Even if you win it, you only get 8 points. So, you know, although the points are nice, the next race coming up is the one that you want to look out for. Robbie Winter, hello mate, how are you? My brother is 5th. Is that Dr. Edward? And thank you for the follow, Robbie. Appreciate that, man. Hope you're well. 5 of 11. Zog is struggling at the moment, and he is close to being lapped by CRYPIK, who now has a 2-second lead on Joseph Hales. So CRYPIK is inching ahead just by a couple of tenths a lap. 2 seconds at this juncture in the road is pretty good. Only 6 laps left of this sprint race, and CRYPIK could be helping himself to full 8 points here in the sprint race. Zog into the pits. We have Jumbo with a mistake, running wide there at the penultimate corner. Hyper has now re-overtaken Jumbo, and this is an interesting fight here. Oh, what does Dr. Edward do? He has to lift off. And he has to lift off, and there's an Alpine going straight on. That's Jumbo. Wonder if Jumbo just ran out of room there. All of this group are now up a place. Jumbo back onto the track, gets a 10-second time penalty, which is a bit harsh, and retires on track. That is a bit naughty. He will get penalised by that by the steward. Chelsea's into the pits. And Dr. Edward now finds himself in 3rd, found himself in 5th place for a lot of this race. He could have crashed in the wall actually, yeah. Just there was a bit of a gap between when he went off at turn 1 and when he retired. So maybe he's come back on track and has hit the wall. So maybe he hasn't retired on track manually. That's good point. Thank you, Sparks. Snacks. Sparks. What am I calling you? You can tell I haven't streamed in 2 weeks, can't you? Slumbling my words all over the place. CRYPIK leads Joseph Hales by 2.8 seconds. Only 4 laps left, so Joseph Hale needs to gain about half a second a lap from here on in if he wants to try and catch CRYPIK before the end of this sprint race. Dr. Edward up into 3rd, currently holder of 6 points. Hyper, nice race here in the sprint, and has Karma and Hissy behind, hoping to try and nick Hyper on the line, but upcoming Karma has that 3-second time penalty, which currently is going to send him behind Hissy and Akaris down into 7th. So upcoming Karma needs to try and get past Hyper as soon as he can and try and get a 3-second gap on Akaris. LOLSERPRO 8th place for him so far, and final points place of this sprint race, but he is coming under a little bit of pressure from Mason behind and LOLSERPRO's teammate Tucker. Nice sprint race from Tucker, up to 10th, started at the back, and Tucker outside chance of some points here in this sprint race. Spark, small mistake, sent him down to 11th. Chelsea with a pit stop, and Novitek has had a bit of an issue with Zog as well in this race at some point, and that's why he's at the back. Chelsea down in 12th, time penalty. Won't matter too much for Chelsea at this moment in time. Has a 5-second gap on Novatek as things stand, so it doesn't really make any difference to her, but obviously this is just a sprint race. Feature race is coming up after this. Full 32 laps to come. Thank you for the follow, Kevin Hoyman. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hope you are, mate. Appreciate the new follow. Ramping up towards 500 followers on this channel now. 493 is the count. It's me, Hoike. I knew your name was Kevin, but I didn't want to assume. Nice to have you back, Hoike. Hope you're well, mate. Tucker outside chance of some points here if you can get past Mason and his teammate. It's just struggling to get in that DRS range of Mason, who has shown some good pace here in the sprint race. Started in the outside of the top 10 in the grid. Is pushing really hard here to try and catch LOLSERPRO. 9 of 11. The leaders just coming around the final corner now to start the 10th lap. Brother is third. Well, it's not over yet, and anything can happen in these kind of races. Obviously, we wish Dr. Edward the best. He's currently got a 1.5 second lead over Hyper, who is coming under some big pressure here from Karma. Red light flashing on the back of Hyper's AlphaTauri. That means that Hyper has 25% battery or less, with only 2 laps to go. Hyper might be struggling a little bit. Hissy and Akaris have dropped off Karma slightly, so either some mistakes from Hissy and Akaris, or maybe Hyper and Karma just have a little bit too much pace for them at this moment in time. CRYPIK leads Joseph Hales by 3 seconds, and with 1.5 laps to go, CRYPIK is looking the most likely to take home this sprint win and a full 8 points on the driver's standings. Joseph Hales, nice solid race. Wasn't able to touch CRYPIK in this sprint race, unfortunately, as things stand. But still, 2nd place and 7 points. Pretty good, if you ask me. Dr. Edward making moves up the fields, capitalising on some mistakes, and currently finds himself in P3 as things stand. Then we have this battle between Hyper and Karma, which could be getting very saucy in the next few moments. Time, excuse me. Though Karma, even though he'll be hoping to get past Hyper as quick as he can, Karma does have that 3-second time penalty, which as things stand will drop him behind Hissy and Akaris down into 7th. So Karma is going to hope Hyper drives quicker than the 2 behind him and drags him along to potentially not lose any places. It's Novatek just getting lapped, thankfully ghosted. Oh, potential move there into turn 6 for Karma, but nothing doing. Karma obviously desperate to get past, but doesn't want to lose time on the 2 behind him. That will cost him a couple of points on the championship. Hissy and Akari's having a nice little battle there for P6 just behind, as you can see, and that will count for position. CRYPIK coming around the final corner. He wins the sprint race. No problems there for CRYPIK. Joseph Hales, 7 points for him. Dr. Edward, a very spirited drive, moving up the field and actually gaining a lot of time on Joseph Hales in that final lap. I'm sure Edward will be very proud of what he did just then in that sprint race. Hyper, Hissy, Akari's Karma, as we said, does drop down to 7th. LOLSERPRO gets the final point of the sprint race. Mason, Tucker, Chelsea, Spark and Novatek will round out this sprint race, and of course where they finish in this race will determine the grid for the next race. Chelsea with the time penalty, so Spark will be finishing in 11th place. Yes, okay, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Potentially with crossplay, we might see Hoike back. Hoike, very strong racer, in case you have no idea who Hoike is. Part of APS for a long time before we merged into IIRL. So they have it, CRYPIK, Joseph, Edward, Hyper, Hissi, Akari's, Karma and LOLSERPRO getting points. This is the grid for the next race. And we will have a short 5-minute break. That doesn't mean a break from the stream. I'll still be here waffling on as normal. Featured driver this week, in case you're not too sure what featured driver is. It's a little segment we do on our streams for you guys to get to know the drivers a little bit more, just not the gamer tag. There is a person behind that gamer tag, and we seek to get to know as many drivers as we can over the course of the season. Today's featured driver is going to be Dr. Edward, 27 years of age, from California in the US. How I'd love to be in California, but stuck in the north of England. If you know, you know. What is his occupation? He's a hardware lead stroke supervisor at Pacific Waterjet. We make a lot of lithium-ion battery boxes for airport equipment and forklifts, and do some work for Can-Am 80 at the moment. Can-Am? I think that's a company that I don't know the name of. So yeah, that's very interesting. Does he have a dream job? To either own or operate either a speed shop, brackets mechanic shop that modifies vehicles, or a firearms stroke gunsmithing store. That's interesting. Any hobbies or interests? Obviously love any type of motorsport, enjoy recreational shooting, also like to go to track days, stroke autocross. Pretty nice indeed. Racing on the Thrustmaster TX wheel here in IIRL. And his favourite driver of all time could be anyone from any form of racing at all. He said this is a tough one, but I would choose two. First would be Travis Pastrana, motocross, rally, NASCAR, and now does Gymkhana. If you don't know what Gymkhana is, Google it. It is amazing. And Travis Pastrana says he is who got me into motocross at a very young age. Second would be Sebastian Vettel. Really enjoy seeing him on and off the track. Has matured, become a great role model for racers, stroke motocross enthusiasts, and even just everyday people by his actions. Lots of fans of Seb in this league, I think. His best track on the calendar is Bahrain, Austria as well, so potentially look out in 6 weeks' time for the Austrian Grand Prix for Dr. Edward. Might have a really strong performance there. As for his racing strengths, he says race pace, clean driving and tyre management are strengths of his. And some win-stroke podiums this season would be amazing. Has got on the podium in this sprint race so far. Can he convert it to another podium in this feature race? Have to stay and find out. We'll be getting going in just a couple of minutes' time. And I like to ask people if they consider anyone in this league to be a rival. He said, "Not yet. Have had good battles with a few people though. Dayman comes to mind first." Unfortunately, Dayman isn't racing, so we won't see that rivalry here tonight. I really enjoy the featured driver, getting to know some of the people, especially what they do for a job and what they do outside of Formula One here in IIRL. Get to see a wide range of jobs and professions and hobbies and interests from people in this league, and obviously one of the I's in IIRL stands for international. We have loads of different nations represented in this league. I have no idea who Hoike is. Demon used to commentate before me. He knows all about Hoike. Definitely give it a try with crossplay available. Been doing all races at iRacing. How is iRacing, Hoike? I've not tried it. Heard good stuff about it. I've heard a couple of bad reviews here and there, but mostly good. Let us know what you think about it. Very difficult to overtake on the track this year, says Karma. Yeah, I think from that race, that is one of the things that I've noticed. Aki has joined. Interesting to see if the game will let him have a car, though. Usually you have to be in for the end of the previous session to get a car, but we'll have to wait and see. Yep, California. Tell me about it. I don't want to tell you where I live because, you know. Pedals currently not working with F1 2020. Yeah, there's been a load of problems with this new game, and my older brother as well can't race on his wheel because his wheel overheats and loses force feedback sometimes in race. It's just a shame that a game is released and all these problems are happening, but you know, we're used to it by now, so we plough on.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway and the track temperature looks warm. That may or may not play into some of the team's hands in today's race.
And I don't think Aki has a car. I think what I said was right. You need to join.
Almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid.
You need to join at the end of the previous session. Yep, Dr. Morales in chat. 95 is Dr. Edward in this race. Congratulations, Edward, on the 3rd place. Fingers crossed for you in this upcoming race. We have CRYPIK starting on the hard compound tyres, if my eyes don't deceive me. And the 2 drivers behind him, Joseph Hales and Edward, are starting on the mediums, so there could be a good opportunity here for Joseph and Edward to try and get a move done into turn 1. Here is the tyre situation. Only one person on the soft tyre, and for the 2nd time tonight, it's lights out. And CRYPIK has got a better start than in the sprint race. Load of jockeying for position. Drivers off track in the back. I think Hyper is falling victim to one of those. Oh, some pieces of carbon fibre thrown everywhere on the track. That could be a brake board, actually. Might just look a bit more dramatic than it actually was. But CRYPIK has got away from the line pretty cleanly. Edward has got ahead of Joseph on the start. Edward very strong tonight, making moves up the fields. Car is up to 4th already on the hard compound tyres, so may not have pace in this stint of the race, but for the second stint might come back into it slightly. Karma, Hissy 5th and 6th at the moment. Mason on the soft tyre, good start from him up to 7th, as Spark is already up to 8th place. Zog has spun, and Tucker is with him, and Hyper has a 10-second time penalty for cutting the corner. Plenty of action in the opening lap. We have Tucker, Jumbo going very slowly at the back there in the Alpine, and Zog, who have all had issues on this opening lap. Novitek going side by side in the final corner with LOLSERPRO in the battle for the final points spots, and LOLSERPRO ducks into the pits, possibly with some damage. Jumbo has retired, and he has done that out on track, so that is a little bit naughty there from Jumbo. Tucker into the pits, getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding. It's all happening right now. And Tucker has retired also in the pits, and Hyper too. So, three early retirements from this race. We got Mason and Hissy going very close to comfort there. Sector 2, Hissy comes out on top, and here comes an upcoming Karma. Will we see an upcoming overtake on Akari? So Akari has done pretty well to get into 4th place on those hard compound tyres off the start. But he is going to come under increasing pressure from Karma, who is on a faster tyre. Akari's makes his car big and wide, trying to hold off a move from the Red Bull driver. Upcoming Karma. You see a Mason lying in wait, but here comes the move that Karma was waiting for. He's got the move done into turn 1. As we said, really important to get that move done as soon as you can into turn 1, because it's very difficult to go side by side and give people space. Kari's now losing out to Hissy. Better traction on those mediums. Kari's might just have to sit behind some of these drivers for now and wait until they pit to properly use those hard tyres advantageously. And there goes Mason, looking very eager round Toza corner to try and get past that AlphaTauri. Kari's trying to be as stubborn as he can, not giving Mason anything easy to work with there. So CRYPIK on those hard tyres has already built a 1.5 second gap. He is absolutely flying right now on a tyre that is not as quick in this portion of the race as the mediums. Edward in seconds, overtaking Joseph Hales on the start. 0.5 second gaps behind for Edward and Hales and upcoming Karma. Hissy then leads this pack of Kari's, Mason, Spark, Chelsea and Novitek. Oh, and rounds out the final corner goes Chelsea. Losing some time there. Novitek now doesn't get the DRS. Chelsea was Novitek's DRS option. Now Mason on these soft tyres will be looking to get a move done on Akari sooner rather than later. Akari's is still sticking with Hissy, even on those hard compound tyres. Driving here from Akari's to put pressure on Hissy and try and keep Mason behind. Spark on those hard compound tyres too. 4 drivers out on them. As things stand, Spark will have a tough job trying to stay within that DRS of Mason. Gaps throughout the fields from the front to the back, but this midway pack is the one we're going to follow for now. Yeah, unlucky Tucker, mate. Some races you do well, some races just don't work out for you. Fingers crossed for you next week. Drivers now starting to get into a rhythm of the track. They've already done 11 laps in the sprint race. Want to fall into a bit of a rhythm, get your muscle memory up. Make sure you're driving this track as if you know it like the back of your hands. That's how you avoid time penalties. Running closer to someone in front does give you a bit of turbulent air, a bit of dirty air as Formula 1 drivers call it, and might give you a bit less traction and downforce into corners than you would optimally like. That might be why you see some people getting time penalties here tonight. Currently only Chelsea, 6 laps in with the time penalty. Speak and the game will troll you. Zog getting another time penalty tonight. Oh, bit of a slide there for Mason. Those soft tyres are going to start to wear off now. 5 laps in, and Zakaris has the DRS on Hissy. There is no real proper strategic advantage that Mason holds now on lap 6. On the start of the race he did have a proper advantage, but Zakaris has driven really well to stay within DRS range of Hissy. And Mason's soft tyre boost is starting to wear pretty thin indeed. Lap 6 of 32, 3 retirements, all manually in the pits, no crashes or anything. LOLSERPRO time penalty, currently 12th place. Needs a safety car if he wants to potentially get some points here tonight. Mason's starting to fall back slightly. Hissy though is the one on the move. Gap between CRYPIK and Edward stabilised really at 1 and a bit seconds, down to 1.4, now back up to 1.5. So that is very much, they are lapping at pretty much identical pace right now. Not much to separate CRYPIK and Edward. Joseph Hale's 3rd place. Oh, and Zakaris is gone. Where has Zakaris crashed? Just after this corner on the left, as you can see, AlphaTauri in the middle of the track. That is a full course yellow, and a safety car is out. This is brilliant news for the likes of Zog, LOLSERPRO, who are down at the back. There you go, Demon. This obviously is going to massively shake up the field, and will people pit? CRYPIK has no need to pit, he's on the hard tyres. First person to pit is Hissy in 5th, and I wonder if Hissy's going to go onto the hard compound tyres for the rest of the race. That is a lovely view of the pit box game. All I want to see is blue sky, and Hissy is indeed on the hard compound tyres. Novatek stays out and comes up into 5th place. Hissy would drop into 6th. Mason is actually probably quite relieved that that safety car's out, because he gets a free pit stop, which he was going to do anyway. He's onto the medium compound tyres. Spark not had the most beautiful race from his perspective so far tonight. This safety car could bring him back into it. He's onto the new set of mediums too, as Chelsea goes on to a new set of hards, and so does Zog in the pits. LOLSERPRO, chance to catch up and take point. He stays out to stay in to go up to 10th. Lap 8 of 32, and the first safety car of the evening is here with us. Have a look at the position change from the start. Big gainers at the moment. Spark up 7 places. Novatech up 7 too. Zog, Chelsea, Mason, Karma, all up a few places. Dr. Edward ahead of Joseph Hales on the start. That's why Joseph lost a place. Issy is also down 1. I believe that's probably due to Novatech staying out in the safety car period, whereas Hissy pitted and LOLSERPRO started in 8th, currently in 10th, dropping a couple of places. 4 retirements. Crash for a car race on lap 8, bringing out this safety car. And Tucker, Hyper and Jumbo all retiring in the pits on lap 1. Okay, you're making me hungry. Stop it. So, field is almost bunched up. Zog, I imagine, will be on the back of this pack very shortly, just coming through turns 4 and 5 now. Very possible the safety car will be in this lap, however, it might be too late. Possibly once the safety car comes out of this next chicane. We have Karma off the track. Interesting to see if Karma will try and overtake Novatech. The rule kind of is, if you do go off track, it is kind of free pickings really for the car behind to try and get a spot. Zog is caught up and that safety car is it's a very late call from the safety car here. Dr. Edward here is back in the pack up, and CRYPIK has seen what's going on. What is going on here with Dr. Edward? He's spun at the final corner and has got a time penalty for cutting the corner. And what on earth has happened there? The only thing I can possibly say is either Dr. Edward was just very slow to react, or there was some kind of game glitch which meant that Edward had to slow down and CRYPIK could just go for it. Possibly it was the overtake that Joseph and Edward had under safety car conditions. Possibly that was the one that has caused this, but this is an absolute gift for CRYPIK. Joseph now alongside Novatech, alongside Joseph Hales. Oh, and on the inside curb goes Novatech. Hasn't pitted under the safety car. Those old tyres are not going to do it for him, unfortunately, at this stage in the race. And it's turning into a bit of a sprint race for these drivers. We've got Spark diving down the inside of LOLSERPRO, who's up to 8th place. Dr. Edward has decided to retire after that incident. There you have it in chat. Had an illegal overtake notification and the person wouldn't pass. There was a bit of confusion between Joseph and Edward. And in the end, CRYPIK has got a 9-second advantage because of it. Hello, Snacks. How you doing, mate? As we said, an absolute gift on a plate. Forget Christmas. Forget Imola, this is CRYPIK's birthday today. Joseph Hales is starting to slowly reel CRYPIK in. Joseph needs to push hard. These top 3 have yet to pit and must pit in this race. Mason, after boxing to ditch those soft tyres on the first stint, that safety car was pretty good, well timed for him. Mason up to 4th place now, and past the likes of Hissy, Chelsea, Spark, LOLSERPRO, Zog, all in the DRS range though. They won't get it down this main straight because DRS is only activated when they cross the line on lap 12. So at the end of lap 12 they will get some DRS. At the start of lap 13, Spark and Chelsea having a bit of a switcheroo in positions into the opening few corners, and this could be a very tasty fight to keep our eyes on. Zog given a bit of a lifeline, considering didn't have the best sprint race. But this is an opportunity now for some points. If you finish, you score some points here tonight. So even if you're last, like Novatech, 32 seconds behind at this venture, it's not worth retiring in the pits because you're just going to lose out on a point. Oh, it looks like LOLSERPRO went for a bit of a dive there on Chelsea ahead. It looks like LOLSERPRO's actually got ahead of Chelsea. Possibly unfairly, I'll let you decide on that, where you are watching at the moment. Zog lying in wait. LOLSERPRO won't get the DRS from Spark in 6th, so LOLSERPRO here is going to be susceptible to a possible move here from Chelsea and Zog coming down towards turn 1, but it's Zog's move on Chelsea. It's not Chelsea on LOLSERPRO. Zog round the outside, Chelsea brakes as late as possible and dives down into turn 1, cuts off the move and stays ahead of Zog. I have to say, it's pretty good defending there from Chelsea. Aggressive but fair, I'd say. I think if Zog broke late as well, went for the move around the outside, there would have been some contact. Possibly Zog would have gone off the track as well. So Zog was pretty aware of the situation to not do anything too rash in that situation. I'll change that command snacks. CRYPIK then leads Joseph Hales by 8.1 seconds. Upcoming Karma is on the engine of Joseph Hales in his Williams. However, those top 3 need to pit, which means Mason, after those pit stops have concluded, will find himself in the lead of the race as things stand. As here comes upcoming Karma. Very, very routine move there on Joseph Hales. Obviously next lap Joseph might be able to get Karma back. And Mason is under some pressure from Hissy. Hissy doesn't have a time penalty, which means come the end of the race, Mason may find himself losing out to Hissy. That 14 of 32, not even at half race distance yet, still got plenty of racing left. CRYPIK has a big lead as things stand. That does not mean that you're guaranteed to win the race. Yeah, very unfortunate there. Dr. Edward had the force feedback glitching out as well. Man, that's not ideal. Fingers crossed that'll improve for you as the season progresses. Hissy on the back of Mason, Joseph on the back of Karma, and Zog is on the back of Chelsea. 3 fights, could see potential overtakes into turn 1. Joseph pits from 3rd, needed to pit, and I imagine he'll be onto a set of hard compound tyres for the remainder of the race as he pits on the start of lap 15. There goes Hissy, around the outside into turn 1, got the move done before the braking zone. Hissy helps himself to what is now 3rd place after Joseph Hales' pit stop. However, Joseph Hales has gone into the soft tyre, proving me wrong, making me look like an absolute spanner. So thank you, Joseph, if you're watching the stream. Appreciate that, man. Zog then on the back of Chelsea. 6 drivers out of the 10 on track on the hard compound tyres, looking to go a long way. Hissy, 3-second time penalty might cost him a couple of places down at the end of the race. Just depends on the situation in about 15 laps time. I don't need much help yet. You got it. You know me all too well. Zog, just a little bit too much curb there through the chicane, and might actually lose out on DRS. He might have it. DRS detection is just before that second to last corner, and it will be in effect from that line there. They just went past, down the finishing line, all the way to the braking point for turn 1. Upcoming Karma has pitted in response to Joseph Hales. However, Upcoming Karma has boxed for the hard compound tyres, where Joseph will need to make another pit stop. Question will be, which order will these two exit the pits? Karma had a really good in-lap, and Joseph struggled to fire up those soft compound tyres, it would seem. However, now Upcoming Karma has a set of cold, hard tyres on the car, practically ice cubes on that Red Bull, and Joseph Hales with relative ease makes it up into 8th place. Try to get some sleep. See you guys later. Have fun with the stream race. Thank you very much, Tucker. Nice to have you with us tonight racing. Fortunately, it didn't quite work for you. All the best next week, mate. Take care. Have a good one. Lap 17 of 32 now. We are at half race distance. CRYPIK leads Hissy by 9.6 seconds after a bit of a safety car issue between Joseph and Edward. Allow CRYPIK to get a 9-second jump on them on the restart. That is why CRYPIK leads this race by 9.6 seconds. CRYPIK, I imagine, will be boxing onto a brand new set of medium compound tyres. And if we say it's about 22 or 23 seconds for a pit stop here, that will probably put him in 7th place behind Zog, ahead of Joseph. And CRYPIK will obviously be hoping to overtake the rest of the field ahead of him on his route to a victory. But for now, CRYPIK has had a very good first stint. Mason currently finding himself on the podium spots. Upcoming Karma, after that first lap on the hard tyres, finds himself now 2.7 behind Joseph. However, Hales will need to pit again, so Upcoming Karma won't be too worried about Joseph in front of him at this moment in time. Zog now. Oh, bit of a slide there from Chelsea. 10 lap old hard compound tyres, possibly about 20-25% wear at this point in the race. Definitely will go to the ends. Might be a little bit of a hard race, the final 5-10 laps, but for now, those hard tyres are holding on, and Zog is holding on to Chelsea's coattails, hoping to jump Chelsea whenever possible. Chelsea trying to get within touching distance of LOLSERPRO, who has had a pretty good race, stayed out of trouble, has pitted in this race, so can possibly go to the end, but will need to nurse those hard tyres 31 laps. chat. And Joseph Hale's pits. And that is a relatively early pit stop. So I wonder if Joseph has got some damage here. He has lost out to Karma. And it's no front wing change, but he is onto a set of hard compound tyres. That is going to set Joseph down to the back of the field. And what could have been there for Joseph could very well have been a podium here tonight. But that second pit stop, and certainly a slower set of tyres for this stint, has all but ruined Joseph's chance of some good points here tonight. I'm sure Tim will not say that. I'll have a good go, but please don't lynch me. What do you want me to say? LOLSERPRO pits from 5th place, releasing Chelsea and Zog. A little bit of moving in the braking zone possibly there from Chelsea and Zog as the pair of them fight. Don't know if that was a bad exit from Chelsea, or maybe Chelsea just understood that she moved in the braking zone and possibly gave that position up to Zog, or maybe Chelsea's got some damage that we don't know about. But all clean. Zog up to 5th place now, reserving tonight. I'm sure Zog would have been very happy with the 5th place coming into the race here tonight. Gouda Nacht. I know what it means, because Gute Nacht is good night in German. So Nacht is the same in German as it is in Dutch, so I know that means good night, Tucker. Hopefully that pronunciation was okay. Hopefully I haven't offended any of the locals in the Netherlands. Hopefully Max Verstappen won't come round my house and strangle me. Oh, what a spin for Chelsea. Just losing the rear end through turn 1 there. And so easily done on those hard tyres. It is not prime traction conditions, especially lap 21 in this race. Chelsea will now have to look over behind her shoulder and see a very fast upcoming Karma approaching. CRYPIK leads Hissy by 10 seconds, and don't forget CRYPIK has to pit. So when CRYPIK exits the pits, he will come out in 5th place behind Zog and ahead of Chelsea. And CRYPIK does pit on lap 21. Hissy will stay out and inherit the leads. There you go, Hissy in the Ferrari now leading the race. Will there be enough laps for CRYPIK on those medium compound tyres to be able to make his way back through the field onto the top step of the podium where CRYPIK has been for most of tonight? Mason up into 2nd place now, and Spark onto the podium, and scrap that. Zog has come into the pits this lap too, so CRYPIK will not be 5th behind Zog, sorry, but 4th behind Spark. And now CRYPIK finds himself 16 seconds away from the lead of the race, which means in 10 laps needs to gain about 1.6 seconds a lap on the leader in order to win the race. Of course, he has to get past Spark, Mason and CRYPIK all along the way. So CRYPIK's job is not easy. However, CRYPIK has had good pace so far here tonight, and Hissy might just have pulled a perfect strategy by pitting under that safety car. Mason and Spark, those mediums will be very destroyed come the end unless they are planning to box onto a set of soft tyres for the last few laps. And CRYPIK is starting to catch. Those mediums are now warm. They're nice and toasty. They've been in a lava lamp for a bit. Stick them in the toaster for a bit. Out of the tyre blankets, which we all know aren't happening on this new Formula 1 season. And CRYPIK is very warm in that cockpit. Tyres warm to match. And now, oh, and out of the race goes Karma. Brand new set of tyres on the car. And it's not enough. And there is a safety car out. This has changed the race completely. Upcoming Karma just lost it out of turn 3. It's very easy to do. And all we said was, if you finish, you get points. Unfortunately, Karma won't be getting any points here tonight. Instead, the person who finishes last here now will be getting 2 points instead of 1. Mason into the pits. We should probably pick up on what tyres people are going on to. I imagine it'll be a set of soft tyres for all of these drivers here. Spark is into the pits. Hissy, Mason, all of those three setting on a new set of soft compound tyres. CRYPIK stays out. CRYPIK has just pitted, but there could have been an opportunity there for CRYPIK to put on those soft tyres too. May have come out in 4th place behind Mason, but still would be on a good set of tyres and possibly use CRYPIK's pace as good as it has been tonight, but now has a rather inferior set of tyres on that car, trying to keep hold of the lead for the last 8 laps of the race. It has been relatively undramatic at large portions of the race tonight, and that doesn't mean it's a bad race. It just means there's not been as much drama. Spark weaving his tyres, weaving his car to try and get heat in those tyres, just going off track there. Does well to not crash like George Russell did at this exact point on this track. Yep, good point, Demon. CRYPIK penalty free, and as the safety car has bunched people up, penalties now really start to count. Those with 11 seconds of penalties, Mason, Joseph, probably won't jump ahead of anyone on time penalties at the end of the race. Instead, they may find themselves susceptible to being overtaken. For instance, LOLSERPRO, if he can stay within 5 seconds of Mason, will get a free position at the end of the race. Chelsea too. Novatek only has 3 seconds, and the 5 people ahead of him, have more time penalties. So we might even see Novatek, who has had a nightmare in the sprint race, come back and bounce back in the feature race and get some good solid points in the midfield. Karma in chat, unlucky man. That was yeah, we've seen that crash so many times. Happens in slow motion, you're like, no, before you know it, the wheel's off the car and you're out the race. But yeah, as you say, he took the corner exactly as he did for the last 20 laps, and for some reason, on lap 22, you crash. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, sometimes that's just the way it goes. Everyone now on the soft tyres, with the exception of CRYPIK in the lead. Joseph down in 9th. I think rule number 1 now is don't make any mistakes wherever you are in this 9-driver pack, and even if you finish last, it's still 2 points on the championship. But for CRYPIK, who has been leading all of this race, will certainly feel hard done by if he doesn't finish on the top step of the podium here in Imola. Coming around to complete lap 25. At the start of lap 26, there will be 7 laps remaining. Joseph Hales has a 10-second penalty for corner cutting and has no front wing, so Joseph Hales will need to pit for a new front wing. And Joseph's penalties have now skyrocketed. Question will be, when will CRYPIK go for the restart? It was a late safety car call to come in, and it looks like Spark has lost out slightly. CRYPIK leads Hissy down into turn 1. Spark not under too much pressure from Mason right now, but down the inside going Zog, Chelsea, Novitek, all within striking distance. Novitek just running wide there, getting another time penalty onto their tally. LOLSERPRO lying in wait. Joseph Hale boxes. Oh, and Novitek's gone. Spinning, thankfully not crashing out of the race from Novitek's perspective, but that will obviously drop Novitek down to 8th place. The question is, where will CRYPIK and Hissy finish? Golden Egg is the current championship leader by just 2 points, and Hissy is in 2nd place in the championship, so Hissy will, as things stand, take the lead of the championship going into round 5 next week, which is Miami. So make sure you join us on Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday nights respectively for No Assist Tier 1, Assist Tier 1 and Assist Tier 2. But we're not done yet. 6 laps remaining, lap 27 of 32. CRYPIK, who has been leading this race from start to finish, now finds himself under a little bit of pressure from Hissy. Hissy on a relatively new set of soft compound tyres, which will last the remainder of the race. However, CRYPIK is penalty free, and that is what CRYPIK is hoping to hold on to. CRYPIK gets a 3-second time penalty in the last 5 laps. Hissy will sniff an opportunity at a race win, which for a long portion of this race seemed almost impossible. And at this juncture, we're going to have to start thinking about driver of the day. I'll get a little bit of a poll up in chat in a few moments' time. CRYPIK leads Hissy by less than a second. Remember, no DRS until lap 3 after a safety car restart, so it won't happen right now. It will happen right now, but DRS is not activated this lap, that's what I meant. So the end of lap 28, Hissy, if he's 1 second, within 1 second of CRYPIK, excuse me, he will get the DRS advantage down the main straight, possibly have an overtaking opportunity. However, CRYPIK now just showing signs of good pace. Those mediums are well warm now, into a rhythm is CRYPIK. CRYPIK full of confidence from tonight's race, as Zog and Mason are going side by side through Tozer, giving each other lots of space there through the left-handed corner, and Zog fighting back to keep hold of P4. At this point we'll put up the penalty so you can see what's going on. Joseph Hales probably most likely finish 9th as things stand, but Joseph will be hoping just to finish at this point. Mason, the one who has to look behind at those time penalties with a bit more interest than others. Chelsea getting 9 seconds now, leaving her a little bit susceptible to Novitek behind in P8. Lap 29 of 32. Hissy within DRS range of CRYPIK. However, with the time penalty, Mason and LOLSERPRO on the tail of Zog. LOLSERPRO, as things stand, is going to jump ahead of both Mason and Zog and finish in 4th place at this moment, which LOLSERPRO, that is a really, really strong result. Spark is in 3rd place, had a nightmare sprint race, and not the best qualifying we've ever seen from Spark either, down in I think 12th place it was, after a 5-place grid penalty. So Spark has done pretty well considering going from 12th place to 3rd in 2 short races. And we might see some DRS coming into effect now for Mason. He's only 2 tenths away from Zog. Go on board with the Mercedes driver looking to overtake another Mercedes powered car. Zog gives him the space on the inside of the track. They are completely side by side now. Zog trying to stick it around the outside. Oh, LOLSERPRO just missing his braking point and going a bit too wide there into turn 1. Losing some ground on Mason and Zog, and that may cost LOLSERPRO some time in the grand scheme of things. He is going to still overtake Zog and Mason on the line though. But Mason up into 4th place, routine move past Zog, and pretty good driver respect there from the pair of them. Lap 30 of 32, and CRYPIK now has a 1.9 second advantage on Hissy. CRYPIK's slight scare of maybe losing this race win here tonight has all but gone now. Just a couple more laps to go. For some reason my driver of the day poll's not quite working. Ah, there we go. Some suggestions for you. Who do you think deserves driver of the day here tonight? Got CRYPIK, Dr. Edward, Hissy, LOLSERPRO, Zog. A few faces here today that have performed really well out on track. Edward, the most unlucky of that 5, with the slight safety car incident that led to his retirement. But let us know in chat, who do you think deserves driver of the day here tonight? Just type their name exactly as it is in the chat, and your vote will be registered. If there's a tie or no one decides to vote, then I'll just decide for you. Mason going a little, Zog going a little bit wide. Might allow LOLSERPRO to get a little bit closer, but it looks like Zog hasn't really lost any advantage by going wide. It's now lap 32 of 32. CRYPIK has a 3.2 second advantage on Hissy now. CRYPIK can just stroll to the end of the race and take home the full 25 points. He's already got 8 from the sprint race, so CRYPIK will be in a nice strong place after tonight's Grand Prix. Hissy in 2nd place looks set to keep hold of that, has a 3-second advantage on Spark in time penalties and on track. Mason is due to lose ground on Zog and LOLSERPRO, and Zog is due to lose a place to LOLSERPRO too. Chelsea will be in 7th, Novatek 8th, and Joseph Hales will finish in 9th place as things stand, but LOLSERPRO is still trying to get past Zog out on track. Mason, that time penalty now has all but confirmed that he'll be finishing P6 in just a few moments' time. Cut over to CRYPIK. It's been a beautiful drive from CRYPIK. Has taken advantage of a slight safety car incident between Joseph and Edward. It's been a flawless drive for CRYPIK and wins in Imola. Hissy comes home to finish 2nd and possibly take home the championship lead. I will get on that I'll do some quick maths for you. As we said, LOLSERPRO jumps up to 4th ahead of Zog and Mason, and barring any crashes or massive mistakes on the line, Chelsea will come home to finish. Oh well, I should not have said that. Can't reset to track, Chelsea, come on. I think Chelsea will just about edge it from Novitek, who will finish in 8th place, and Joseph Hales will come across to finish in 9th. First win for you, CRYPIK. Congratulations. It's been a very, very dominant performance in this race, and well deserved for the race win here tonight. CRYPIK, there you go, race winner of not only the sprint race but the feature race, to 33 points now added on to CRYPIK's total. That'll put CRYPIK on 33 points, which means Hissy getting 2nd place here tonight has taken the championship lead. Don't know by how many points, but there's still a very long season to go. CRYPIK there with the fastest lap as well in the feature race, 34 points he jumps up to. So there you have it, CRYPIK. Very good performance here tonight. And I think, based on the poll and based on my own personal feelings watching the race, I think CRYPIK does deserve driver of the day here tonight. Didn't really put a foot wrong, took the lead and stayed there. Controlled the race, made the call pitting onto the mediums, and in the end it was a good call because those soft tyres did wear out towards the end of the race. So CRYPIK, not only your race winner, your sprint race winner, but your driver of the day here tonight. Well, before we head off, next week is one you do not want to miss. We are at the first ever IIRL Miami Grand Prix. Tuesday night, join us for the no assist bunch. Thursday for assist tier 1. Sunday for assist tier 2. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of action. A very tricky track. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. And I'm sure we're going to have an absolute belter of a race. Before we go, we're going to rate someone. As always, make sure you drop a follow. Loads of Twitch people out there who put their all into their streams. And we're going to rate a guy who I have raced with before, so I hope you guys go and enjoy their stream. It has been quite quiet in chat, but it has been quite nice. As always, join the race, say hi if you want, drop a follow if you want as well. Spinala, really, really good racer. I've raced with him before, he is a lot faster than me, so hopefully you will see some really quick racing tonight. We'll see you on Tuesday night for the no assist tier lot at the first ever IIRL Miami Grand Prix. Congratulations to those who finished in the points tonight, and we'll see you next week.